Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. A lot has happened the last 2 days. I'm going to do my best to catch you guys up. First thing you should know about is there was an additional attack on the Kerch Bridge. Last night, a massive explosion and a large flash of light was visible from the bridge. However, as of this morning, we're not really getting any new pictures or videos showing additional damage. I do have the song ready to play, Kerch Bridge on fire, but I don't actually think the Kerch Strait Bridge is on fire, so we'll hold off on playing the music. But the Ukrainian military has struck several important victories in the last 2 days. A Ukrainian drone boat scores a direct hit on a Russian warship. An explosive-laden Ukrainian drone struck the Russian Navy landing ship, the Olenegorsky Gornyak, leaving it badly damaged. Now, initially, Russia denied that the ship had been struck. They claimed Ukraine was lying, so Ukraine released the video to prove that yes, their attack on the ship was successful. So this happened in the night. There's no audio. I'll play for you a little bit of this clip. As you can see, this Russian landing ship doesn't know the drone boat is coming. They're not firing on it. They're not trying to destroy it. It's reported that the crew of this vessel thought they were safe. They didn't think that they would be a target for a Ukrainian drone strike. So this landing ship was being used to ferry military equipment from the Russian mainland to the Crimean Peninsula. It's a loading ship capable of carrying 500 tons of equipment and cargo. And of course, as soon as the sun came up, plenty of visual evidence showing that yes, this Russian Navy ship took extensive damage. So we've got a couple clips. I'll play a little bit of each of them for you. So this video is being taken by a Russian man, showing that the ship is listing. It's taking on water and sagging to the left. Doesn't look good. And here's the ship from another angle during the daytime. That's wild. You can see there are these 4 rescue boats dragging it back into the harbor. So they did manage to get it to a dock, and from a satellite picture you can see extensive damage on the left side of the ship. The ship is still leaking oil into the harbor. Wow. Russia won't be able to repair the Olenegorsky Gornyak in the near future. This is a pretty old ship. It was originally built in Poland back during Soviet times. And I don't think this ship is ever going to see action again. As far as what is prioritized by the Russian military for new builds and repairs, I don't think this ship's ever going to return to service. But the reason why this was a surprise attack is because this happened in the Russian port of Novorossiysk. I'll try and say that again. Novorossiysk. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that when there's a YSK at the end. But this is 700 kilometers from the Ukrainian coastline. Ukraine successfully drove this boat 700 kilometers, that's almost 500 miles. This is like a 12-hour commute to get around the Crimean Peninsula. And this is what the port looks like on deepstatemap.live. This is Russia's most important port in the Black Sea now because Sevastopol isn't safe. They assumed the Russian mainland was safe, and Ukraine just proved 2 nights ago there is no safe harbor anywhere in the Black Sea for Russian military assets. So the successful attack by a maritime drone on the Russian landing ship is an outstanding operation that seriously changes the situation in the Black Sea. Despite enhanced security measures at its largest naval base and largest commercial ports, the Russian Navy is unable to defend itself against Ukrainian maritime drones. Russia has effectively blocked Ukraine's maritime trade by attacking ports and ships in Ukrainian waters, stealing and exporting Ukrainian grain and metal, and now Ukraine has the capabilities to respond symmetrically. Russia might be regretting pulling out of the Black Sea grain deal. So this is what the most recent version of the boat we think looks like. All of these drone boats, they're not being mass-produced. They're being hand-built, handcrafted by the Ukrainian forces. So it's an iterative process, meaning they try one boat, they see what goes right, they see what goes wrong, and then they improve on the design. So for the last year and a half, Ukraine has been learning, Ukraine has been experimenting. I'm sure they've been talking to design experts in Western countries, trying to get advice and help for a better design, capable of going a farther distance, capable of being more stealthy, capable of carrying a larger payload. And yes, they can strike Russian ports on the Russian mainland in the Black Sea now. That's how incredible these boats have gotten over time. Then the next night, Ukraine did it again. Drone boat strikes again at Russian maritime targets. This time, a tanker ship is claimed to have been struck by a Ukrainian boat near the Kerch Strait. Wow. So this is the boat. This is the fuel tanker. Its name is SIG, S-I-G. And this ship is a valid military target because it's a fuel tanker. And it's a fuel tanker that serves the Russian military. So Ukraine once again released the video. I'll show you 15 seconds of what this looks like. Once again, there's no sound on these clips. This oil tanker, fuel tanker, doesn't see it coming. Beyond that, the ship has no defenses. It doesn't have guns, I think, capable of firing on and destroying this drone boat. So this oil tanker, the SIG, was on its way back to Crimea to refuel. What this ship does is it goes back and forth between Russia and Syria, providing fuel for Russian ships docked in the port in Syria. And this ship has been under sanctions. So this is not an international commercial ship. It flies a Russian flag. It has a Russian crew. It is currently under international sanctions for participating in Russia's war efforts. So this was the perfect target. We do have pictures and videos of what the inside of the ship looks like. Apparently the civilian crew felt it was appropriate to show how effective this drone was and share these pictures and videos with the world. And here are the thoughts I want to share from Tender. From a strategic point of view, the Russian SIG oil tanker is the most ideal target. An attack against this Russian tanker is covered by the rules of engagement since oil is used by the military. It will also deter many other oil tankers from going or leaving Russian ports, citing security issues and eventually compromise Russia's most valuable money flow, the oil trade. Instead of giving in to Russian blackmail regarding the grain deal, Ukraine does the exact right decision in not giving in, but instead targeting the Russian oil trade instead. This is exactly how you respond to Russian threats and blackmail. Do not negotiate. Do not allow yourself getting into a defensive position, but instead strike back. Even double as hard as necessary to make sure that it delivers the intended pain for Russia, and then see what happens. So I don't think Ukraine would have struck this oil tanker if Russia had just agreed to continue the Black Sea grain deal. That would have jeopardized it, but since Russia said the deal is off, all of Russia's shipping is fair game. Attacks on Russian ships and the Crimean Bridge are logical and legal. This is the official Ukrainian position, and I don't think we're going to get a huge outcry from the international community either, given Russia is doing the exact same thing. And online, everyone is poking fun at the Russians, making fun of them for their stupidity and hubris. Did Russia forget that there is a blockade in the Black Sea? Why did they try running a military ship full of oil towards Syria? Putin announced a Black Sea blockade, and then Ukraine enforced it. Wikipedia editors quick to get to their computers to update the pages on these ships, changing present tense is to past tense was. And unfortunately, Ukraine's naval strike plans have been leaked online. Since they're readily available to everyone, I'll go ahead and share it as well. I think Ukraine should continue striking along this diagonal. That's the fastest way to find Russia's ships. I want to read this post from Anton. Ukraine has declared a state of military threats in the internal and external waters of 6 Russian ports. These are the Russian ports. This was based on Order Number 5 of the Ukrainian Navy on August 4th. The military threat was declared indefinitely until further notice. What is happening now in the Black Sea is a symmetrical response to Russian maritime piracy for blocking the Ukrainian trade fleets and shelling of civilian infrastructure. All vessels navigating in the waters of the Black Sea in the direction of Russian seaports and temporarily occupied Ukrainian ports may be considered by Ukraine as carrying military cargo with all relevant risks. This is what the Russians declared over a week ago, that any civilian ship going to and from a Ukrainian port will be assumed to be carrying military equipment and is therefore a valid military target. These are the terms that Russia announced publicly. This is Russia's own words being used against them. There are lots of civilian ships going to and from Russian ports and the ports in occupied Crimea. By Russia's own stated logic, all of them are valid military targets because they could be carrying military equipment. Now, of course, Ukraine isn't going to attack an Israeli civilian ship trying to go to a Russian port. I think they're going to be very selective on which ships they choose to attack, but the attacks will continue. And every civilian commercial shipping company is now going to have to weigh the risk. Do they want to risk their ship and lose millions of dollars? Do insurance companies want to take the risk when the Black Sea is now experiencing unrestricted naval warfare? This is what Russia wanted by pulling out of the Black Sea grain deal. Other things that have happened on the Crimean Peninsula, Ukraine successfully struck an oil depot with a kamikaze drone. There is a small video showing an explosion, but we don't have any close-up pictures showing what the actual damage is. Just more bad news for Russia. Russia says they downed 7 Ukrainian drones near Moscow. I don't know. I don't know if this is real or if Russia is lying, but yeah, it's possible. Ukraine launched some drones to go after that skyscraper in Moscow again, and Russia actually had their air defenses turned on, and they actually successfully shot something down for once. But the drone attacks are going to continue everywhere until Russia gives up on this war. In occupied Mariupol, Ukrainian partisans infiltrated the catering company and poisoned the food with cyanide and pesticides for a party of about 20 Russian officers. 2 died immediately and 15 were hospitalized. So no, Russia, you're not allowed to have fancy dinner parties when you completely destroy a city, kill tens of thousands of civilians, and then expect the survivors to serve you nice food. Yep, this is war. According to a CNN report, Western officials are saying that Putin is unlikely to change the course of this war until the U.S. presidential elections. Senior U.S. and European officials are concerned that Putin is counting on the 2024 U.S. presidential election to help him win this war in Ukraine. Putin is hoping that President Joe Biden will be defeated next year, and this will force the U.S. to reduce its support for Ukraine and improve Russia's position in future negotiations. I know a lot of people who watch my videos who are not American are concerned about this, but I really don't think Russia's going to be able to hold on for another year and a half. Yes, the elections are in November of 2024, but the next president wouldn't be sworn in until January 20th of 2025. So Russia would have to hold on for another 18 months, sustaining 1,000 casualties a day. That's what Prigozhin confirmed when he took the Southern Military District office. Russia, killed, captured, and wounded, is losing over 1,000 men a day. To me, it's incomprehensible that this war is going to go on for another 600 days when Ukraine's military capabilities are only going up over time, and Russia's continues to deteriorate. I argue that Putin is not going to be president come March or April of next year. Putin needs to stop worrying about US elections and worry about his own. The 2024 Russian presidential election is going to be in March. I argue the FSB has already come up with a replacement plan to get rid of Putin. Putin is fighting the pro-war factions of his own government and society to stay in power. Everyone is unhappy in Russia with how this war is going, whether they're liberals who opposed it or ultra-nationalists who cheered it on. This war has been a disaster for Russia in every respect. So Putin needs more meat, more cannon fodder for the war in order to hold on another 18 months. Putin signs law raising maximum draft age. So it used to be 18 to 27. If you're a Russian man, you're eligible to be drafted. This is now being extended from 18 to 30. So every man in Russia, if they can't afford to bribe the right person to avoid military service, they're all going to be conscripted, unless they're already in a job that's considered an essential service like police officer or riot police. They're all going to get drafted. According to Medvedev, Russia enlisted 230,000 troops in 2023, and we're only halfway through 2023. So if you remember, mobilization, the partial mobilization, occurred last September or October. Russia grabbed 300,000 men and flooded them into the war zone. But Medvedev is saying that they've elevated conscription levels in Russia. They're not letting anyone go, and they increased their ranks of enlisted people by 230,000. Putin wants to mobilize more, but mobilization was very unpopular, taking 45, 50, 55-year-old men away from their jobs and families to send them to Ukraine. There was protesting, there was rioting. Putin wants to get through his election next March before he starts mobilizing 50 and 60-year-old men again. And if you want people, you got to go where the bodies are. This is a picture of a funeral home in Russia in which the windows are covered with recruitment posters. It says, "It's time, you're needed by the motherland." So when you go in for your brother or father's funeral who died in this pointless war in Ukraine, maybe the poster will convince you to sign up yourself. Residents of Kazakhstan have begun to encounter internet advertisements trying to entice them to join the Russian military. The advertisements say that a one-time payment of $5,300 US and a monthly salary of $2,000 will be provided. I don't think many Kazakh citizens are going to fall for this. Reports are already getting out that they're not treated very well. For citizens from the ex-Soviet republics who have been lured to Russia and forced into military conscription, they're not being treated well. Regular Russian citizens aren't even being treated well. Reports are coming out of Ukraine that Russia is planning a false flag attack on a Belarus oil refinery in order to justify Belarus entering the war to help Russia. I don't think this is too concerning. The population of Belarus is only 9.3 million people. How many soldiers could Russia squeeze out of Belarus if they forced them to mass mobilize? 50,000 or 100,000 men, but I think if Russia tried to do that, there would be uprisings and revolts in Belarus. This would destabilize the country, threatening Lukashenko. So even if Russia does try a false flag attack on an oil refinery in Belarus, I don't even think Lukashenko would go for it. That guy's just trying to survive. So despite Russia's best attempts to get more meat for the war effort, I don't think Belarus is going to join the war. Here's some interesting news. I love showing you guys clips of Kremlin State TV in my videos, but apparently views are way down. Evening with Solyov, approximately 0.99% of the population watched the show in January of 2023, and by June, their own self-reported numbers, the show is down to 0.5%. So Solyov has lost 50% of his audience in the last 6 months talking about this war. The numbers across all of Kremlin State TV are down, and there's several factors explained in the article. Return of other entertainment programs, as well as, I guess, seasonality, but it's mostly fatigue of the war efforts. This war is not going well, and people don't want to watch Kremlin State TV because it's all bull. Everything they say on Russian State TV is a lie. I'm reminded of this Soviet quote, "We know they are lying, they know they are lying, they know we know they are lying. We know, they know, we know they are lying, but still they are lying." Putin is definitely a product of his time, having come of age during the Soviet period. He wants to reconstitute the Soviet Empire, the Russian Empire, and apparently you can't do that without continuously lying to your own people. So more and more people, younger people especially, are just going on the internet, going on Telegram to learn the truth about their country and the truth about this war. They still can't talk about it because anyone who conflicts with the official state narrative is arrested and charged with extremism in Russia. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. The National Bank of Ukraine has issued a new 10-cent coin with a Patriot air defense system on the back of the coin. It's pretty cool. I kind of want one. Final couple feel-good clips. The first one is just Ukrainian defenders bringing water. So this is like a case of water that they're bringing to other soldiers on the front lines. But I just want to show you what it looks like being a water runner. You gotta watch out for drones, landmines, and mortar fire, but this is what they're doing every day. Delivering supplies, food, and water on foot to avoid mortar fire, artillery. Just crazy. Final clip I have for you. I'm confident this song is in the public domain, but I want to share with you a Ukrainian defender playing the piano. If the sound is muted, then for some reason this was copyrighted, but here it is. Flight of the Ukrainian Bumble drone. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.